taking shots at Frank Miller is kind of like shooting fish in a barrel. It's very, very easy, sometimes too easy. But I feel the need to address the works of Frank Miller in his treatment of Superman. And I have to say this. He cannot write for Superman any more than he can write about women as anything other than whores! You think I'm joking, don't you? I'm not. Look, I've heard plenty of arguments, excuses on why Superman is a bad superhero. And no, not morally bad reasons, bad for other reasons. And some are understandable. They are. I mean, they can feel he's too one-dimensional in his appeal or character. They can feel he's too powerful. That's fine. That's fine. You don't gotta like Superman. You don't gotta like anybody. But some of these arguments are really, really uneloquent. And every time old Frankie writes a Batman book, he throws in something that makes Superman out to be a clown, a child, a puppet of the government, or everything, because Frank Miller likes to cover all his bases. Bruce is always belittling Clark, looking down on him, and continually disrespecting him. And, you know, has Batman beat him up. So, I gotta ask, why? Why, Frank? What's with the Superman hate? In fact, one thing I will always be grateful to Judd Winnick for is showing from an apocalyptic future Supes smacking Batman like a bitch in the Public Enemies comic storyline. Thank you, Judd Winnick. But as for the Superman hate, I really gotta ask, why? I mean, Frank even shows Wonder Woman disrespecting Superman in All-Star Batman. Yeah, Wonder Woman. And you call yourself a Superman, kowtowing to these ants, dropping to your knees before these earthbound epithelial humans? Lady, you are clay! You are, in a way, more fragile than they are. Just because you can deflect bullets with your wristbands does not make you better! Ugh. Honestly, Frank Miller will not stop portraying superheroes as insane. Now, one person suggested on some forum I read a long time ago that the reason for the constant belittlement of Supes was because Batman is the goddamn Batman, and Superman is just a retarded Boy Scout in blue PJs who wears bright red underwear on the outside of his pants and has a huge freaking S for stupid on his chest. He might be an icon to so many people, but I wish Lex Luthor would just toss him in the recycling bin already. Duh. Ugh. My response shall be equally eloquent and politically correct. Stick it where the sun don't shine! Now, Mr. I. Levitz said this in a documentary, and I'm going to agree with it. Now, Clark sees the place that we call our Earth as a place that can be made better. Bruce thinks that the world is more about being survived than improved. Both still hold on to hope, but Bruce's hope is a hope of continuously stemming back the tide of evil, while Superman believes that one day the world will not need someone like him. Superman is altruistic, he's powerful, he's kind, he's the embodiment of how a superhero should be. And to me, this is my words, Frank Miller's portrayal of him is insulting. Frank is showing him as a willing tool of a fascistic government time and time again, allowing for some evil in the name of a greater good, when Superman has never been a utilitarian, not even in the slightest. And this was insisted upon in the mainstream comics, in All-Star comics, in many alternate universe comics. Superman does not compromise his ideals. He's Superman! That's why showing him submitting to Lex Luthor in The Dark Knight Strikes Back was such an insult. We, the audience, know better. Superman is better than that. But Batman, ugh. Frankie seems to think that Batman is the complete opposite of Superman in every single way. Someone who feels there's no control in life unless you take it. The system is broken! The world is going to hell in a handbasket, and people are prone to selfishness, hatred, and greed. I am emphasizing my words at random, and I haven't shaved in 3 weeks! In contrast to Captain Party-pooping pessimist, Superman is a person who thinks that the world is basically a nice place. With only a little bit of help, things will turn out alright. The system works. It doesn't need that much fixing. And people are more prone to doing good things than you'd think. Therefore, in Frank Miller's eyes, the two can't be friends. Do you see why why I hate Frank Miller's portrayal of Superman so much? It isn't just because of the fact he thinks Superman is naive. He is making a superhero look bad to make another one look good. And that is lazy writing. It's okay to point out the differences in ideologies and powers and weaknesses, but Frank Miller is putting up a straw man Superman to show off the goddamn Batman. And then in The Dark Knight Strikes Back, what does Batman say to Bruce whilst calling him stupid and insulting his parents? Low blow, Brucey boy. What does he say? He says Superman should take over the world. Basically screw over everything that makes Superman Superman by turning him into a dictator. Why not? He already turned Batman into an asshole! And for the record, Superman is not an idiot. I'm going to repeat that one more time so you don't misunderstand. Superman is not an idiot. Not in the mainstream, not in the animated series, not in the All-Star universe. Do you think any idiot can just get to be the star reporter of one of the major newspapers of the USA? People have heard of Clark Kent's reporting. He won a Nobel Prize for it. They don't just give that out like candy at the fair. Clark has excellent deducting skills. There was an entire episode of the Superman animated series devoting to him solving his own murder, with him admitting he'd go crazy if he didn't get to be Clark Kent. The episode shows Clark Kent as clever, intelligent, rational-headed, far from the stupid governmental idiot Frank Miller portrays him as. It's so insulting what Frank does to Superman. I mean, yeah, I get it, Frank. You want to show Batman as a badass, but at his heart, Batman is also a Boy Scout. And above all, superheroes do not need to be criminals. I know you've said that like 18 million times. We have to be criminals. No! You do not need to be criminals! Superheroes are not criminals. Superheroes are upholding the law. Supervillains break the law. Many superheroes act in conjunction with the police and the government. I mean, Bill Clinton once called in the Justice League in the excellent comic series A World Without Grown-Ups to ask for help from the Justice League to find out where all the kids in the world had gone to because they disappeared off the face of the earth. You really think that the President of the United States would call upon an organization of criminals to do that? No. No. Superheroes are, in many ways, deputized, superpowered citizens. They're not vigilantes. They have the blessing of the cops and the government, even if it's only de facto. And this is important. This is very important, okay? I need you to listen closely. You, dear reader, you don't need to be in conflict with the law or the government in any way. A person who wants to fight for justice and what's right can work with those in charge and those who stand for justice. You can change the system from within. You don't have to be on opposite sides of the coin. But hey, that's just me. And I gotta admit, Frank, I will give you points for this. It was pretty funny seeing Batman and his damn lemonade. See you later.